So we're going to talk about the needs of the CPE. So Mitri and I came up with general questions that we want to ask the educators and directors. Based on their answers, we came up with a list of common needs that we've seen in their answers. So what we have seen is that educators want to have more resources available for parents, educators, and directors. There's also an increase for children with autism, language delays, attachment issues, hitting and biting. So, based on the list of common needs, we have chosen several topics that we want to use in our conference. So, some of them are observation, support for the educators in the classroom, and more resources available for parents, educators, and parents. So it is important to look at what will the project look like in winter 2022. So the conference will last for 2 hours. The target audience will be educators, and Mitra and I will call English CPEs and bilingual CPEs. The type of conference will be a combination of lecture and interactive. Interactive is going to be educators will present, well, educators will, this Mitra and I will present a scenario to the educators. And then from there, the educators will think of different solutions or ideas that corresponds to the scenario. For example, like we're going to talk about the scenario will talk about biting. What do you do when a child bites in your classroom? So the educators will think of different ideas and solutions of how to approach this scenario. So how we're going to approach the CPE? Mitri and I we're actually going to call the director of the CPE, and we're just going to explain what is the project about, what is the purpose of the project, why did we choose it. Then from there, we're going to send a flyer to the director explaining further details what is the project about. If the director likes the idea of having the conference in her CPE, the director will actually email the flyer to the educators. If not, you could just print it out and put it on the wall in the classroom. So the venue. So the conference will be located in the CPE. It's going to be held in the gross motor room or multi-purpose room, and the conference will be pizza party. And in this conference, there's going to be refreshments for educators. They're going to be refreshments for the educators. So there's going to be different subjects that we're going to talk about in the conference. So some of the topics are observation, assessment, communicating the observations to the parents, how to do an intervention plan, how to do early detection in the CPEs. So we do have a backup plan. The backup plan will be done online, so the conference will be done virtually. It could be done on Microsoft Teams, Zooms, or Skype. And as well, same thing, it's a combination of lecture and interactive. And we do have a lot of strengths in this project, but the main one that stood out the most is how students can get information quickly for the preliminary research. So what I mean by that is that for me, I had the opportunity of going to I was working 4 days, and I had the opportunity to talk about my project to the educators and to the director and ask the general questions about the project. Also, for the weaknesses, it was a little bit harder for us to get the weaknesses because we tried figuring about what kind of weaknesses that we have in our project. The only weakness that we have in our project is actually based on how CPs are hesitant to communicate with us about the project. We tried calling them, but there was no answer. But when we did have the chance to call them, they wouldn't allow us to go into the CPE. and talk about the general and ask them the general questions about the project. So the only improvement we could think of is, okay, like, is to do ask the general questions online, to do it virtually. So this could be done on Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Skype, depending on what the director is comfortable with. So there are many different and innovative facts that we have seen in this project, but the three main ones that stood out the most for Matri and I was how this project can address the current issues that we see in CPE today, and also it gives educators the tools to implement in their classroom when they have a child that has special needs or a child with a challenging behavior. Also, the last innovative and different fact that makes this project so unique is this project can be accessible for all CPEs in Quebec and not just in Montreal. So this being said, this conference could be accessed virtually online. So here are the images that we see potentially applying for next semester: refreshments, educators listening to us, learning about different subjects. And then, so I would like to thank you for listening to our presentation. I would like to thank you for thank you for listening to our presentation. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to ask. Thank you very much.